si menacée, avide des vents qui venaient disperser, avide des vents qui venaient disperser. Étrange, sa parfaite obscurité, ta revanche, au petit.
Hi, thanks so much for joining me today. I wanted to share with you a personal story that was a transformational point in my life. And I offer this story to hopefully inspire you and maybe help you shift into a space of more wholeness. I have titled this video, How to Heal Yourself. And there's this saying, physician, heal thyself. And I would say that this was a key moment in my life. What I'm about to share with you was a key moment in my life of how I truly healed myself. I hope you find this story useful in some way. The story begins in 2010, and I was working in New York City as a doctor, part-time in a clinic, and I was also dancing for a dance company. I had done a lot of medical missions, volunteer missions around the world, and in 2010, Haiti had a devastating earthquake, and I felt called to go there and do work as a volunteer doctor. So I left the company for a short term, and I left the clinic where I was working to go down to Haiti and serve. I was stationed along with the organization for which I was working in Port-au-Prince, the capital, which was near the epicenter of the earthquake. We were staying, the healthcare workers, in the basement of this abandoned hotel. I think the hotel was still functioning in some capacity to my memory, but not much. And we were staying in these tents, working really long hours in the hospital that was almost entirely devastated and bombed out. We had makeshift large tents for the emergency room, another makeshift large tent for the intensive care unit, and we were working long hours. And it wasn't just physically tiring, it was emotionally exhausting to witness so much pain and desolation. So every day I would wake up or every evening I would wake up and I would go to do my shift in the hospital. And I would come back and try to gather my spirits together and go back and do it again. To keep myself centered, I was doing my dance exercises, rehearsing for a piece that I was going to perform in New York when I went back. Somebody either saw me in rehearsal or perhaps had seen a dance performance I'd done in New York. I don't remember. But word got around, and this lovely Australian man, he was, I think, pretty high up in the logistics department of the NGO that I was working for. And he approached me, and he asked me to do a dance performance for the group. And I had so much resistance to this. In my mind, I was there to be a doctor. I was dancing right in New York, and I was doctoring in New York, but in Haiti, with all the crisis that was going on, I was there to be a doctor. This is what I was thinking in my mind. So I really resisted this, and I kept resisting it day after day. But towards the end of my time there, I think I was there for almost a month, about 3.5 weeks. Sorry, there's a car. So I'm going to wait till the car goes so that it can hear me well. And take a moment to breathe. And I invite you to take a moment to breathe. So as I was sharing, a car went by. I was sharing that it was, I think, the last night or the last evening towards the last evening of my time there, and he approached me again, and this time I really had no excuse. He told me he had music, there was a place, a stage for me to perform, and most of the people who were there to volunteer were there. So I said yes. Something in me was moved, and I said yes. I hadn't had any time to rehearse. I was exhausted from the day's work, but I felt called to do the movement. So I remember I stood in front of the group of people, and I touched the floor in front of me to thank those who'd passed on, to thank those who had moved on to another place. I touched the floor in front of me, and I asked Spirit to allow me to be a channel, to share inspiration, to share beauty, and to share healing. And I danced. And I remember that when the dance was over, there was just this overwhelming response. There was applause, there were tears, there were people who came up without word and just hugged me. There were people who thanked me. And it wasn't about me. It was about sharing that which was within me. It was about letting go of ego and just offering my talents and my gifts and my callings in a whole way. And it was at that moment I realized that my gift there in Haiti wasn't just being a doctor, it was also being a dancer. It was offering myself in a more whole and integrated way. I titled this video, How to Heal Thyself, or How to Heal Yourself. And I did this because that was a moment that I really felt that I was healing myself by offering my gifts in a more whole way. I returned to New York and little by little began to show more of myself in my work, in my different works. 5 years later, in Ojai, California, where I was living at the time, I was dancing in front of a group of war veterans, incredible men. And at the end of my performance, one of them got up and said to me, I know you to be a doctor, and maybe in your doctoring, you're healing people's bodies. But what I just saw, your dancing was healing for the soul. And I couldn't be more eloquent than that. And I share this story today to invite you to look at your life and to look at places that you're not showing up completely, to look at gifts that you've put aside and said, this is not as important as this other gift, or this talent is not as important as this other talent. And I invite you to fully start sharing more and more of all the talents you've been given. How can you every day show up for yourself and show up for the world by sharing more of that talent that is hidden? Just little by little. I can tell you that it wasn't until I did that I started to really heal myself. I hope something of what I shared with you was inspiring and lifted your spirit. Thank you for sharing your time with me, and much love.
Je crois